So a couple of weeks ago, a friend and I took a road trip to Chicago. Being from Iowa and her being from Wisconsin, I'd never really been to Wisconsin before, but for a majority of the road trip, we decided to drive through the lower half of the state. As we were driving, I was kind of thinking about what I knew about Wisconsin, or really why I had never been there, considering it was so close to me. And I remarked that the only thing that I really knew about Wisconsin was from Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House in the Big Woods, telling the stories of Laura when she was really young, living in a log cabin in Wisconsin. As we began to connect over that story and then kind of expanded onto a lot of the other stories, we were really amazed in our conversation about historical fiction and the importance that that has in teaching us about places we've never been, people we've never met, and things we've never experienced. Today we're going to learn about how historical fiction is one of the number one ways and most important ways for teaching young kids empathy, teaching them to learn how to experience life around them and how to justify that with the lives that they're living on their own. In that experience, stories connect us in three ways. They connect us to the past, they connect us to the present, and they connect us to the future, especially historical fiction. Historical fiction is the basis of a lot of really, really classic children's books, such as Laura Ingalls Wilder, Anne of Green Gables, Jack London, lots of really, really C.S. Lewis, lots of classic stories. These are stories most of us read or heard when we were younger and remember, and by experiencing and knowing about them, we provide this great opportunity for kids to learn tangible ways about people who've also lived on this earth and who've also been 7 or 8 years old, and how every experience that we have is really, really interconnected to the experiences of those around us. The ancient Greeks used historical fiction especially to teach history, and it was one of the predominant ways that ancient teachers taught their pupils about Greece and about life in Greece, about what was important to them. Second, stories connect us to the present. Theory of mind is the human capacity to comprehend that other people hold beliefs and desires that may differ from one's own beliefs and desires. In the 24-hour news cycle, it's hard to maintain the excuse of not having enough access to information. There are always a plethora of stories and experiences, especially with the internet that we can learn about and really use to understand life around us. And with all of these things going on in the world, the skill of empathy is increasingly important. Empathy connects and educates us to the human experience. Now, if you're not familiar, empathy differs from sympathy in that sympathy kind of has this level of, oh, I feel bad for you, I'm looking down for you, I feel sorry for you, while empathy tries to turn it into I'm walking alongside you, I feel that pain with you, I can't attempt to explain or understand everything that you're going through, but I'm there for you and I strongly, strongly care about you. Empathy is a really, really important skill, and since the world is so connected, we have so many amazing opportunities to learn about people around us. If we can build those bridges in that beginning of historical fiction of teaching kids the importance of learning to connect with the people around them, imagine how much that changes how they connect with the people around us, how we connect also with the people around us today. Learning to flex those muscles and stretch those opportunities of what it means to really, truly be human. This year, the Oscar for Best Documentary went to a video on an organization called the White Helmets. The White Helmets are a Syrian group that works to help, it is trained to help find people who've been lost in the rubble of buildings that have been destroyed by various bombings. And they are especially trained, and they're known by their white helmets, to look for even every little small grasp of hair or of skin amongst rubble to save people and literally pull them up from the grave. When we are deeply interested and invested and care about the people around us, we're able and interested in wanting to learn about the stories of other people experiencing life with us. This is a skill that if we teach it to kids, we can't even imagine how many wonderful things can come from that in the future. And finally, stories connect us to the future. Learning from the past and living in the present, but can't help but to open our eyes to a better future. It helps keep our optimism alive, our creativity, and it's proven that our brains are more creative just the more breadth of knowledge that we have and of interest that we have. Historical fiction teaches readers that you can be interested in absolutely anything you want to be, and that interest is needed and it's validated, and it's really, really important to continue to pursue those interests. Empathy, when taught in children, creates adults who care, deeply emotionally care, and that's the most tangible way to connect to the future. Especially in the current political climate that we have, it's important to just have people who are invested and people who genuinely care about what's happening around them. When we teach people to care about what's happened before, and we teach ourselves also to care about what's happened before, that transfers over to how we see a brighter future. So, empathy, when begun at a young age, allows us to bravely and well-equipped enter the future. Historical fiction aren't just tales and folklore and stories, and even if they were, there is value in those, and it's important to maintain those stories and that interest, even if it's, as I said, fiction that might not have actually happened. The possibilities are endless of what can happen when we learn to genuinely and deeply care about the human experience in all forms.